Hello everyone, this is Asra Sultana, Assistant Professor in Triply Department, working in ISL Engineering College. I am taking the subject High Voltage DC Transmission for Triply Final Year students. Today's class we are going to see about few numericals on yesterday's topic, that is converter control characteristics and principles of DC link control. So we are going to see some numericals and we are going to see some system control hierarchy, firing angle control. So under that we are going to see individual phase control, inverse cosine control, constant alpha control. Okay, drawbacks of IPC scheme, equidistance pulse control, and under equidistance pulse control we are going to have three different schemes, that is pulse frequency control, pulse period control and pulse phase control. Okay, so let us first see what we have seen in the previous classes. So control of HVDC converter systems we have seen. So major advantage of HVDC link is rapid controllability of transmitted power through control of firing angles of the converters. So usually in HVDC what we are using, we are controlling controlling the transmitted power through the control of firing angles. Okay, so according to the firing angle we are going to control the how much amount of power is getting transmitted. Modern converter controls are not fast, but they are reliable and they can be used for protection against line and converter faults. Control of power in DC link can be achieved through control of current or through the control of voltage. For minimization of loss considerations, we need to maintain constant voltage in the link and adjust the current to meet the required power. So this is the diagram showing the steady state equivalent circuit of a two-terminal DC link. Let us consider the steady state equivalent circuit of a two-terminal DC link, and this is based on the assumption that all the series connected bridges in both the poles of a converter station are identical and they will have the same delay angles. And number of series connected bridges NB in both the stations, that is both rectifier station and inverter station, are the same. And now the voltage sources EDR and EDI can be defined as EDR is equal to three root 2 by pi NB EVR cos alpha R, and EDI is equal to 3 root 2 by pi NB EVI cos gamma I. Okay. So this is the schematic of a DC link showing transformer ratios. EVR and EVI are AC voltages of the converter buses on rectifier and inverter side, and TR and TI are the off-terminal tap ratios on rectifier and inverter. EVR is equal to NSR ER by NPR TR, and EVI is equal to NSI EI by NPI TI, where ER and EI are the AC voltages of converter buses on rectifier side, TR and TI are the off-nominal tap ratios on the rectifier and inverter side. Combining all these three equations, EDR and EDI value, we got it as EDI is equal to AR ER by TR cos alpha R. EDI is AI EI by TI cos gamma I. AR and AI are the constants. Steady state current ID is obtained as EDR minus EDI by RCR plus RD minus RCI. And if you substitute the values which we got it earlier, that is EDR and EDI values, that is 4 and 5, if you substitute in this equation, then ID will become equal to AR ER by TR cos alpha R minus AI EI by TI cos gamma I divided by RCR plus RD minus RCI. So control variables in the equation are TR, TI and alpha R, beta I. However, for maintaining safe computation margin, it is convenient to consider gamma I as control variable instead of beta I. So as the denominator in equation 9 is small, even small changes in the small voltage magnitudes ER or EI can result in large changes in DC current. if the voltage variables are held constant. As the voltage changes can be sudden, it is obvious that manual control of converter angles is not feasible. Hence, direct and fast control of current by varying alpha R or gamma I in response to a feedback signal will be essential. So, direct and fast control over the current is also desirable from the point of view of limiting the overcurrents in thyristor valves, which have limited short-term overload capability. So, we have to note that although current and power can be controlled by changing transformer types TR and TI, so this can be achieved only by slow control of mechanical switches. It is desirable to control the current and regulate the voltage simultaneously in the link. But the question is that which terminal should be assigned the task of current control, and while the other terminal regulates the DC voltage. So from considerations given below, it is desirable to have current control at the rectifier station under normal conditions. First one is increase of power in the link will be achieved by reducing alpha R, which will improve the power factor at the rectifier and higher loadings and minimizes the reactive power consumption. Second one will be inverter can be operated at minimum gamma, thereby minimizing the reactive power consumption at the inverter also. Third is operation at minimum extinction angle at the inverter and current control at the rectifier result in better voltage regulation. Fourth is currents during line faults will be automatically limited with rectifier station in current control. While there is a need to maintain a minimum extension angle of inverter to avoid commutation failure, it is economical to operate inverter at a constant extension angle CEA, which is slightly above the absolute minimum required for the commutation margin. This will result in reduced cost of the inverter station and reduced converter losses and reactive power consumption. However, main drawback of CEA's control is the negative resistance characteristics of the converter, which makes it difficult to operate stably when the AC system is weak. Constant DC voltage, that is CD-CV control or constant AC voltage CA-CV control are the alternatives that could be used at the inverter. Under normal conditions, rectifier will operate at constant current control and inverter at CA control. Power reversal in the link can take place by reversal of the DC voltage. This can be done by increasing the delay angle at the station initially operating as a rectifier while reducing the delay angle at the station initially operating as an inverter. So it is necessary to provide both CEA and CC controllers at both the terminals. Principles of DC link control. The feedback control of power in DC link is not desirable because at low DC voltages, current required will be excessive to maintain the required level of power, and this can be counterproductive because of excessive requirements of the reactive power, which will depress the voltage further. Second is constant power characteristic will contribute to negative damping and degrades dynamic stability. Basic characteristics. There is converter control characteristics. Basic principles of control of DC link we have studied. So control characteristics are illustrated in this figure. Which shows DC voltage at station 2 versus DC current. Each station characteristics has three parts as given below. That is station 1, station 2 and controller type is given here. AB, station 1 is AB, station 2 is HG, controller type is minimum alpha. Station 1 is BC, station 2 is GF, controller type is constant current. Station 1 CD, station 2 EF, controller type CEA, minimum gamma. Intersection of two characteristics at point A determines the mode of operation. Station 1 operating as rectifier with constant current control and station 2 operating at constant extinction angle. So there will be three modes of operation of the link. Now first one is CC at rectifier and CA at inverter, that is operating point A, which is normal mode of operation. Second is with slight dip in the AC voltage, point of intersection dips to C, which implies minimum alpha at rectifier and minimum gamma at the inverter. Third one is with lower AC voltage at the rectifier, mode of operation shifts to point B, which implies CC at the inverter with minimum alpha at the rectifier. The characteristic AB has generally more negative slope than characteristics FE for similar values of RCR and RCI. This is because of the fact that slope of AB is due to combined resistance RD and RCR, while the slope of FE is due to RCI. However, for slow ACR at the inverter, slope FE can be negative than AB. So this figure is showing the control characteristics for negative current margin or power reversal controller characteristics. Um, this shows the control characteristics of negative current margin IM. Uh, the operating point shifts now to D, which implies power reversal with station 1 operating with minimum CEA control while station 2 operating with CC control. This shows the importance of maintaining correct sign of the current margin to avoid inadvertent power reversal. The maintenance of proper current margin requires adequate telecommunication channel for rapid transmission of the current or power order from one station to the other station, that is from master station to the slave station. So this is the modification of control characteristics. So in the previous section, we have seen the need to restrict the control region to the first quadrant of VDID plane to avoid unwanted reversal of power. In addition, there are two other requirements which will necessitate the modification of the control characteristics. First one is mode stabilization. Second is voltage dependent current limit. Okay, this is a modification of inverter characteristics diagram. Okay. So slope of AB and FE are nearly equal, which can lead to poor definition of intersection of point C. And if slope of FE exceeds that of AB, there will be three possible operating points A dash and A double dash. And in this implies instability of the control, which will result in hunting between different modes of operation. To eliminate this problem, inverter characteristics are modified and given a positive slope when the current is between ID1 and ID2, and this is achieved by current error dependent gamma control. Next is voltage dependent current limit. Low DC voltage in the link is mainly due to the faults in the AC system on the rectifier or inverter side. Low AC voltage due to faults on inverter side can result in persistent commutation failure because of increase of overlap angle. Let us see the numerical. A bipolar HVDC link operates with plus or minus 300 kilovolt, 600 megawatt at the rectifier end. The resistance of each line conductor is 20 ohms. The converter transformers have a leakage reactance of 0.15 per unit on their own basis. There are two series connected converter bridges per pole. AC bus voltage at both rectifier and inverter buses are regulated at 230 kV. A-bit compute the ratings and turns ratio of the converter transformers at the rectifier and inverter. B-bit find the reactive power supplied at rectifier and inverter station, assuming operating values of alpha r and gamma is 18 degrees. Alpha r is the delay angle at the rectifier, gamma I is the extinction angle at the inverter. Let us see the solution. At the rectifier end, DC voltage will be 300 by 2, that is 150 kilovolt. ID is PDR by VDR, that is 150 into 10 power 3 by 150,000 amps. ST is pi by 3 VDOR ID, that is VD by VDOR is equal to cos alpha minus XC ID by 2 IDN. VD0 is the no load DC voltage, XC is the per unit leakage reactance of the converter transformer. So VDOR is 2 VDR by 2 cos alpha R minus XDID, 2 into 150 by 2 cos 18 minus 0.15 into 1, that is 171.2 kilovolts. So ID is equal to ID by IDN, that is 1. And STR is equal to 1.047 into 171.2 into 1 MVA, that is 179.3 MVA. AC voltage on valve side EVR is VDO0 by 1.35, 126.8 kilovolt. Turns ratio of the transformer is 230 is to 126.8. So turns ratio includes effects of on-load tap changer. At the inverter end, DC voltage across each bridge is given as VDI is 2 VDR minus ID RD by 2, that is VDR minus ID into RD by 2. RD is 20 ohms is the resistance of the conductor in each pole, and VDI is 150 minus 1 into 20 by 2, that is 140 kilovolt. VDOI is equal to 2 VDI by 2 cos gamma I minus XCID, that is 2 into 140 by 2 cos 18 minus 1.15 into 1, that is 280 by 1.75 to 1, that is 159.8 kilovolt, and STI is pi by 3 VDOI ID, that is equal to 167.3 MVA, and EVI is VDOI by 1.35, that is 118.4 kilovolt. Turns ratio is 230 is to 118.4. So check on the results will be obtained by calculating ID from the expression ID equal to EDR minus EDI by RCR plus RD minus RCI. that is NB into VDOR cos alpha R minus VDOI cos gamma I by RCR plus RD minus RCI. RCR is given as 3 by pi in x VB square by SB into NB, that is 3 by pi into 0.15 into 126.8 square by 179.3 into 2, that is 25.69 ohms, and RCI is 3 by pi into 0.15 into 118.4 square by 167.3 into 2, 24 ohms. So ID, substitute all the values, we are going to get as 1 kilo amps. B bit, power factor at the rectifier, that is cos phi r is VDR by VDOR 150 by 171.2, 0.876. Total reactive power supplied to the rectifier station is 600 into tan phi r, that is 330 MVAR. Power factor at the inverter, that is VDI by VDI is 140 by 159.8, that is 0.876. Total reactive power supplied to the inverter station is 600 minus 40 into 1 tan phi I, that is 560 into 0.55, 308 MVAR. So note that power factor is a function of only alpha or gamma, and x is for a specified power. Let us see second numerical. Monopolar HVDC link has one bridge at each terminal. Parameters of the link are alpha minimum is 5 degrees, gamma minimum is 18 degrees, RD is 5 ohms, RCR is 10 ohms, RCI is 12 ohms, VDOR is 115 kilovolt, IREF at the rectifier 1 kilo amps, IREF at the inverter is 900 amps. A bit, if VDOI is 117.5 kilovolt, calculate ID, alpha, gamma, PI and QI. B bit, repeat A if VDOI is 120 kilovolt. Let us see the solution. In order to determine ID, we need to know the operating mode, which can be any of the three possibilities. First one is current control at the rectifier, gamma is gamma minimum. Second is current control at the inverter, alpha R is alpha minimum. Third is alpha R is equal to alpha minimum, gamma I is equal to gamma minimum. To identify the operating mode, we need to calculate IM is VDOR cos alpha minimum minus VDOI cos gamma minimum by RCR plus RD minus RCI. If IM is greater than IREF at the rectifier, then the operating mode is current control at the rectifier. If IM is less than IREF at the inverter, operating mode is current control at the inverter. If both the conditions do not apply, then the operating mode will be alpha R is equal to alpha minimum, that is gamma I is equal to gamma minimum. VDOI is 117.5 kilovolt. IM is 937.7 amps after substituting all the values in this equation. So IREF rectifier is greater than IM is greater than IREF inverter. Operating mode is alpha R is equal to alpha minimum. Gamma I is equal to gamma minimum. Hence ID is equal to 937.7 amps. Alpha R is 5 degrees. Gamma is 18 degrees. PI is equal to VDI ID, and VDI is VDO0I cos gamma minimum minus RCI RD. So VDI we got it as 100.5 kilovolt, PI is 94.24 megawatt, QI is equal to 0.855, that is 557.1 MVAR. B bit VDI is equal to 120 kilovolt. Substitute all the values in IM equation, we are going to get it as 145 amps. Since IM is less than I reference inverter, current controller is at the inverter, hence alpha R is 5 degrees, ID is 0.9 kiloamps. VDI is equal to VDR minus RD ID. So we are going to get the value of VDI as 101.1 kilovolt, PI value 21 megawatt, cos phi A 0.843, QI is 58.2 MVAR, and since VDI is equal to VD0I cos gamma minus RCI RD, cos gamma is VDI plus RCI RD by VDOI. So substitute all the values, we are going to get the value of cos gamma as 0.9325, gamma is equal to 21.2 degrees. System control hierarchy. So this is a hierarchical control structure for a DC link. Control functions required for HVDC link will be performed using the hierarchical control structure as shown in the figure. Master controller for a bipole is located at one of the terminals and it is provided with power order PREF from the system controller. It also has other information such as AC voltage at the converter bus, DC voltage, etc. Pole control incorporated pole protection, DC line protection, and optional converter paling and depaling sequences. Master controller, which will oversee the complete bipole, includes the functions of frequency control, power modulation, AC voltage and reactive power control, and torsional frequency damping control. Next is this is the block diagram of pole and converter controllers. Firing angle control. Operation of CC and CEA controllers is closely linked with the method of generation of gate pulses for valves in a converter. Following are the basic requirements. That is, firing angle instant for all waves determined at ground potential and firing angle sent to individual thyristors by light signals through fiber optic cables. And second is, while the single pulse is adequate to turn on thyristor, gate pulse generator must send a pulse whenever required if the particular valve is to be kept in a conducting state. There are two basic firing schemes: individual phase control IPC and equidistance pulse control EPC. Under individual phase control, we are having again two ways. Uh, that is, first one is constant alpha control and second is inverse cosine control. Constant alpha control. In this scheme, 6 timing voltages will be derived from the converter AC bus via voltage transformers and 6 gate pulses will be generated at identical delay times subsequent to respective voltage zero crossings. So this is the constant alpha control diagram here. Next is inverse cosine control. There will be 6 timing voltages are each phase shifted by 90 degrees and added separately to common control voltage, and zero crossing of some of the two voltages will initiate firing pulse for particular valve is considered. Delay angle will be proportional to inverse cosine of control voltage. So main advantage of this scheme is that average DC voltage across the bridge varies linearly with the control voltage VC. So this is the inverse cosine control diagrams. Drawbacks of IPC scheme. Major drawback of IPC scheme is the aggravation of the harmonic instability problem that was encountered particularly in systems with low short circuit ratios. Harmonic instability, unlike instability in control systems, is a problem that is characterized by magnification of non-characteristic harmonics in steady state. So through the provision of synchronous condensers or additional filters, so the problem will be the problem of harmonic instability can overcome by the following measures, that is, through the provision of synchronous condensers, use of filters in control circuit to filter out non-characteristic harmonics. Third is use of firing angle control. Next is equidistance pulse control EPC. In this scheme, firing pulses will be generated in steady state at equal intervals through ring counter. And this scheme uses a phase lock oscillator to generate firing pulses. Three variations will be there: pulse frequency control, pulse period control, and pulse phase control. Pulse in PFC, pulse frequency control, voltage control oscillator is used, frequency of which is determined by the control voltage VC, which is related to error in the quantity. So this is the diagram showing the block diagram of a pulse frequency control. So this is the frequency correction for PFC. Pulse period control, it is similar to PFC except for the way in which the control voltage VC is handled. Structure of this will be same, however VC is now summed up with V3 instead of V1. Pulse phase control. Pulse phase control. So an analog circuit will be configured to generate firing pulses according to this equation, and for proportional current control, steady state can be reached when the error of VC is constant. Major advantage claimed for PPC over PFC are easy inclusion of alpha limits, linearization of control characteristics by including inverse cosine function. Thank you everyone for watching the video. I hope today's video is clear to everyone. So watch the video from starting till the end and give your attendance in the comment section. Thank you everyone.